Hello, Internet. It is so good to be back. It's been a while. This might have been the longest break I've taken. I don't know if it's been 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I think it's been 3 weeks. And I apologize. Things going on. Oh, and there's Scarlett. I don't know if she wants to say hi or not. You want to say hi? This is the star of the show. Scarlett. Okay, big stretch. All right. This is Scarlett. She is the star of the show. Why you guys all tune in. She's awesome. Love you guys. How is everyone this evening? I hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. Hope no one has a case of the Mondays. It is pre-election, folks. It is election eve. Some would say the biggest election of our lifetimes. Well, most important election in history, some would say. If you guys can hear me, I'm having trouble hearing myself. We have a lot to get into, a ton. I was going to start off the show talking about my personal situation a bit, and it's one of the reasons why I've sort of taken a break. I turned 41 2 weekends ago, 2 Sundays ago, and I put out a post, and it was the most viral post that I ever put out, and I just put it out and went to bed. Didn't even think about it. And next morning I wake up and I got Andrew Tate ragging on me, and yeah, that post went bananas. Some of you guys might be here because of that post, and I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into my personal situation, but any of you guys that follow me regular want to know more about it, you can DM me. I'm happy to talk about it. But there's too much stuff going on in the world right now that we need to get into, and I don't want to be all woe is me. I don't want to talk about that stuff. So if you guys do know my situation, you want to support the show, there's 2 links in the comments below, and you could support me, support the show. This is what I'll be doing for the foreseeable future. It's trying to start my own company. It's going to be rough. Also got an interview coming up, but yeah, so stuff I'm not even going to get into too much, but anyway, let's check in with the chat. Bob Tiergarten over on Rumble. Nice to see you. T-Bone Tony. Always good to see you, my friend, over on X. Let's see. Anybody else? It's kind of cool now. They got the Rumble chat, the YouTube chat, and the X chat over in the comments. I can see all you guys in one window. That's nice. So that was a clip that I recorded that clip. That's me driving around in my 79 Chrysler in Oakland. People actually like that car in Oakland. It's funny. I get a lot of compliments when I'm there, but that was driving through the 12th Street slum over in Oakland. And that is what Kamala helped build. That's what DA Pamela Price helped build. That's what Gavin Newsom, Rob Bonta, Mayor Sheng Tao, that's what all of them helped build. You know what they all have in common? They're all California Democrats. And that's the policies that they will implement throughout the entire country if Kamala is elected. Your wide open borders, your California sanctuary state policies where it's illegal for police departments to cooperate with ICE. So if they arrest somebody that was accused of rape, even if they caught them in the act of rape, they're still accused. They have to go through a trial. Illegal for California cops to contact ICE and say, hey, we kind of busted a guy raping someone, and you guys might want to come and deport them. Illegal. They can't do it. But it is legal for non-citizens to become police officers. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Fact check me on all of this. It's sanctuary state policies, insane California policies that have created a social safety net for illegal immigrants. And not only do we have open borders, we have a incentive program for illegal immigrants to come here. And California is a border state. And it's the only border state, well, not technically. It's a border state that has ocean. So it's not only do people just go through the desert and come through giant gaps in our fence that we have, they also have been driving boats over and just abandoning them on shore. You see dozens of people come off these boats. God knows where they're going to, but it's clearly been arranged because they got people ready to pick them up when they get here. It's a shit show. It's an absolute shit show in here in California, and that is what Kamala will bring to the entire country if you guys decide to vote for Kamala. Somebody just commented, well, Trump will shut off California if he's elected. What? Like, what do you mean by that? Honestly, What do you mean by that? What does that mean? And I believe she's referring to when Trump said that he would cut off funding for wildfires in California, the state that before 2020 had done nothing to prepare our forests for any sort of fire mitigation. People laughed at Trump when he said rake the forest. It's actually kind of what you do. You kind of rake the forest. I live in the forest. I live in a redwood forest. And what you do to prepare for fires is you get rid of the fuel. You get rid of the fuel on the ground, the dead branches, dead bushes, all that stuff. You rake it into giant piles and you have controlled burns. Ironically, Trump saying rake the forest is just another one of his ways of saying something silly that kind of ends up being true. Anywho, we got plenty of stuff to get into. So we'll just get right into it. We're going to start off with the election stuff because there's plenty going on. Go over to some polling data. Let's see, share my screen. How's everybody doing? You guys tell me how you're doing. If you're watching, you want to leave a comment, you want to join the chat, it always helps me, helps my self-esteem. If you guys want to join the chat and say something nice, say something mean too, that's fine. I don't care. I do care. It hurts. It hurts my feelings when you say mean things, but I don't let it get to me because I get a lot of mean things said to me. Look at me. I'm goofy. Anyway, let's look at some polling. So here's the swing state polling data. This is from Real Clear Polling. And what do we got? What do we got going on? They got Trump +3 in Pennsylvania, 1.5 plus 1.5 in North Carolina, plus 1.7 in Georgia. Got some news coming out of Georgia about their elections too. Arizona got Trump 2.5 plus 2.5. Wisconsin got Harris plus. Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying I'm gonna start over. Pennsylvania is plus 0.3, so dead even. North Carolina plus 1.5 for Trump. Georgia plus 1.7 for Trump. Arizona plus 2.5 for Trump. Wisconsin, they got Harris up by 0.4. My dog just decided to start playing with a bone very loudly. Didn't do that all day. Waited for the stream to start to do it. Michigan, we got Harris up 1.2. Nevada, Trump up 1. And so that's what Real Clear Polling has. Let's go over to 538, see what their polling's at. They got the polls are ending today. So the approval rating, which is an interesting poll, you got a plus 13% or plus 13 disapproval rating of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. 55% of people polled disapprove of how things are going. 42% approve. I would love to hear from those 42%. How do you approve of what's going on right now? Presidential general election. Let's see. What state is this? So Wisconsin, they got Trump up. They got Trump up 1. What is this? From 2 different polls. I'm not good at reading polls. They got 2 different polls listed. Okay, anyway. We got over in Pennsylvania, Trump up 1. Over in North Carolina, we got Trump up 2. Over in Nevada, we got Trump up 3. Michigan, Trump up 2. Georgia, Trump up 2. Looks like in the battleground states, Trump is polling ahead. I mean, that's what it's showing. Arizona up 5. We'll see what Maricopa County has to say about that, huh? Yeah, Maricopa County. Why is it always something with Maricopa County? Freaking always some shenanigans going on. Over in what is this? Oh, this is okay. This is the average. This is the overall average here. Yeah, why do they throw it right in the middle of all the other states? Oh, okay, I guess they listed the swing states first, and then they go to the average. So Trump is up 1 point in aggregate. So, all right. Over in Virginia, they got Harris up 5. Jeez. Okay, so now these are the non-swing states. Texas, they got Trump up 11. Ohio up 9. I'm not going to go through every state, but Montana, Trump up 20. Jesus. Yeah, so Montana's like the California for Kamala and the Democrats. Okay, Scarlett, can you stop? Honestly. Stop that. All right. So that's what they have to say about that. We got we'll go over to Eric Doherty, and he's a pollster. He's let's see, works for the Florida Voice News, and yeah, he's into elections and polling and all that good stuff. So he's got Trump up 5.1 in Arizona. So it looks like Trump is way ahead in the polling in Arizona. That's seems to be across the board. Nevada 3.1 for Trump. North Carolina 2.1 for Trump. Georgia 1.6 for Trump. Michigan 1.5 for Trump. Pennsylvania +1 for Trump. Wisconsin 0.9 for Trump. And then Minnesota is +2 for Harris, and Virginia is +5.4 for Harris. You guys nervous? I haven't been this nervous for a president. It might be because I'm old. I'm getting old now. But I mean, with everything we've gone through the last 4 years with COVID, with the lockdowns, the censorship of information, the foreign wars, the Afghanistan withdrawal, the wide open borders, all that stuff. This really, it's such a cliche to say, but this seems like the most important election in history. You got to look at the worst people in government, absolute worst of the worst people in government. They're all Californians. And I mean, Nancy Pelosi is just like the first name that comes to mind, right? Gavin Newsom. If you put Kamala in charge, first of all, she's not going to be in charge. It's just going to be a continuation of that shell of a man, Joe Biden, whoever's run the country for him, Lincoln, a lot of people would say. A lot of people say Obama. I don't believe that. I think it's Anthony Blinken and the deep state and all that stuff. But Kamala is the embodiment of California politics. She's lazy. She's two-faced. She will throw anyone under the bus to, get a step up. She's awful. If you guys haven't listened to the Harmeet Dillon interview with Tucker Carlson, I mean, she grew up in California law with Kamala Harris, same Bay Area too. So she quite literally went the same path as Kamala Harris. Well, not path, but she was going parallel with Kamala Harris. And she sheds a lot of light onto how shady exactly that California is. Let's watch this clip, quick clip here. So this is out of Georgia. This is from 60 Minutes, and you'll see why I'm playing this in a second. But this is from, well, it's a 60 Minutes clip. It says, breaking, the state of Georgia is now saying not to expect results until Thursday or Friday, 2 to 3 days after Election Day. What's your reaction to this? So let's watch this quick 60 Minutes clip.
Election Day comes in an anxious time. Why should Americans have confidence in this election?
We have tons of people, processes, and policies in place in all 50 states in the district to assure that the outcome of the election is correct.
Correct, but maybe not as fast as our nerves would like.
So on election night, don't expect to know the winner. We probably will have a pretty good idea who won the presidency, maybe around Thursday or Friday.
That's not how it's supposed to work. We're supposed to know election night. All the ballots are supposed to be counted in one day. Like, isn't that in the Constitution? You guys refresh me. I'm pretty sure that is in the Constitution. Got to be one-day voting. T-Bone Tony, nice to see you. Early voting in Arizona is 200,000 GOP lead. I'm not putting too much stock into all of that stuff. Mahanish, nice to see you. Always good to see you. Over on Rumble, T-Bone Tony over on X. Virginia, Vietnamese guy with 1.3 points. What? I don't get the reference. I wish I did. Sorry. T-Bone Tony, Kamala is a puppet. Absolutely. Just like Joe Biden. Straight up puppet, but she's also a California politician, the worst of the worst. I mean, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that she's dumb. I mean, she's not smart enough to come up with any super nefarious plans, but the puppeteers pulling her strings are. Oh, U.S. Senate race, T-Bone Tony? Okay, I got you. Why are they conditioning us for late returns? I know. It's more predictive programming, right? They're conditioning us to not expect results until 2 or 3 days after. I mean, I remember when I was in college, there was the whole hanging, what was it? The hanging Chads thing, remember, with Bush Gore? And that was out of Florida, I believe, with how they punched the ballots. They had all that stuff. And that went back and forth for like a week, I think. But this is different because it's not some sort of election snafu. This is just, they can't count the ballots for whatever reason. Probably because we have universal mail-in ballots all over the place now, and they got to do signature verification and all this crap. That's one thing that somehow they've normalized universal mail-in ballots. California, we didn't have them. We didn't have them before 2020, Gavin Newsom's recall. We didn't have them then. And then all of a sudden, mail-in ballots for everybody. COVID. That was the excuse for mail-in ballots, was COVID. They didn't want everybody next to each other voting, right? Never went away. Just like any other government program that's supposed to be temporary that they bring in for, whatever BS excuse that they bring it in, it never goes away. It just stays. Wasn't income tax supposed to be a temporary thing? Anyway, let's continue here. So that news out of Georgia, right? That they say don't expect results until Thursday or Friday. Well, Supreme Court stepped in. So this is from Behizzy Tweets, George, over on X. He's got a giant account. I don't know who he is, but he's always tweeting about this stuff, posting about this stuff. My apologies. I didn't mean to dead name X. Breaking: the Google Supreme Court just ruled that ballots cannot be accepted and counted after the deadline by election officials anywhere in the state. So this is the Georgia Supreme Court. Democrats in Cobb County wanted to accept 3,000 mail-in ballots after Election Day deadline, but the court just shut down their plans. This is beautiful, he says. So interesting news coming out of Georgia. I wish the same thing could happen in Nevada, because they're going to pull some shenanigans over there in Nevada, the Silver State. They will. All right, let's head over to Charlie Kirk here. So this is Nevada, like I was just talking about. So NBC, Nevada will take a week to count their votes. Nevada will take a week to count their votes. This is going to be lawyers upon lawyers litigating which ballots can get fixed or cured. America deserves so much better. I agree. Let's watch this quick clip, shall we?
The way I said, so she wins North Carolina. We could be living here in Nevada, waiting and waiting and waiting. And if you remember, Nevada will take a week to count all their votes.
Well, because they go 4 days after.
And you'll have more ballots coming in.
Yeah.
And then you're really going to be used a lot.
How? Like, how is this legit? They're supposed to all be in by the time the polls close. That's it. End of story. The ballots will still be coming in. So this is clearly just because of mail-in ballots. How is this acceptable? Unacceptable. So as many of you guys know, I ran for state senate, didn't make it past the primaries. I didn't see the results until weeks after. I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks that they didn't get those results, nailed down, which is, again, just unacceptable. And here in California, we have what's called the jungle primary, where just the top 2 vote getters go on to the general election. So if you got 3 Democrats and 1 Republican running, if the 2 top vote getters in the primary are both Democrats, that's who moves on. It's not, based on the party. So there's that.
Lot on there, because this is going to be lawyers upon lawyers litigating which ballots can get fixed or cured is the language you'll start to see, those provisional ballots. So the nightmare scenario where we're just waiting for weeks, sort of the Florida of 2000, the way I said, so she wins North.
As soon as polls open in California, they're just going to call it for Kamala. That's just how it works here. It's so ridiculous. All right, let's go over to Laura Powell. She's a California news media person. Let's see. She's a former leftist. She is I thought she was a media person, but I guess she's not. She's just a big account on Twitter. Another California patriot, if you will. So Gavin's just talking about his feelings. Let's Gavin talk about his fifis about Kamala and her chances and all that. And I think all this is an act. I think Gavin actually wants Kamala to lose. I I know it sounds crazy, but no, I genuinely think Gavin, in deep down in his heart, wants Kamala to lose, and I don't think he's done as much for her as he could have. But it's funny. Remember when before Kamala had announced, Gavin was going all over the country campaigning for Joe Biden. He debated Ron DeSantis. Everybody's like, why is he doing this? Why is he traveling all over the country, campaigning for Joe Biden? I think it's because Gavin thought he was next in line. He thought somehow he'd leapfrog Kamala when they inevitably kicked Joe to the curb. So Gavin thought he was going to be the guy, and that's why he was doing this. He was just trying to get some airtime. And I think he secretly hates that he didn't get the nomination, or they didn't shoehorn Gavin into the Democratic, whatever, you guys know what I mean. They didn't make him the Democratic nominee. So if Kamala wins, that means she's going to run for re-election 4 years from now. So that means Gavin can't run again. So that's a full 8 years Gavin will have to wait. If she loses, Gavin's got two more years in office as California governor, and then he's got 2 years to campaign, essentially, for the 2028 election. And that would work out perfectly for him. It would be fantastic for him. Otherwise, he's got to wait 8 years, and it's going to be hard for him to stay completely relevant. Maybe he tries to become a senator, something like that. I don't know. I don't know how he'd stay relevant. But if Kamala wins, that's going to make it more difficult for Gavin to become president. So I actually think Gavin wants Kamala to lose. Let's listen to this slick-haired psychopath talk about his fifis.
Right now, I feel strange. It's interesting. I've been on a journey like most people, feeling great, feeling stressed, feeling doubtful.
I hate his hand motion so much. I hate everything about Gavin Newsom.
Last 2 days, I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe the dust settling after Madison Square Garden. Seeing how that went, like kind of a roller coaster. But something's happened the last few days, and I'm telling you, that Des Moines Register poll. I mean, I don't know. I don't expect Iowa necessarily going in the blue column, but it says something to me that is of outsized importance potentially in terms of the outcome of this race. So I'm feeling honestly.
Iowa, if you crazy corn cobs vote Kamala, I am going to be so mad. I'm going to be very disappointed in you.
Much better than I was even 24 hours ago. The last few days.
What do you think it's saying?
I think the biggest challenge for, if I was Trump, the reason I wouldn't want to be Trump right now is, since Dobbs, we've outperformed in every election significantly. And I'm talking about Colorado Springs, Jacksonville, Florida, special.
I hate his hand motion so much.
Elections, not just the 2022. Number one. Number two, women, 55% of the vote in those swing states, which is significant. Suburban women vote. And young men, where Trump has put so much time and energy and sort of the bro culture, everything else, they don't vote at those numbers. And I think suburban women generally, and I think it's reflected perhaps in that poll, there's something going on. And that, to me, could be determinative.
Right.
I think he's right about the suburban, the awfuls, the white, affluent liberal women. They're going to be the downfall of humanity. Unfortunately, I think he's right about that. All right. I think that might be all I have for election stuff, because I will be doing a live stream tomorrow. I got my buddy Harrison Tinsley joining me. That should be fun. And we got to leave some stuff to talk about tomorrow. There's plenty more election things going on. I'm sure there's going to be election day shenanigans as well. So we got to watch out for those. I'll be streaming as soon as my power comes back on. Yeah, that's right. I have a planned power shutoff for my house tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. How about that? So I'm just going to have to go out and, record things, I think. Let's go for a run. Maybe do some laundry. I don't know. It's very frustrating that, and I'm not screaming election interference because it's going to stop me from voting at all. But if power they're planning on here. Let me just share. Actually, let me check in with the chat really quick. So let's see. T-Bone Tony hanging Chads. Yep, over there. back in the day. What was that? The 2000 election, right? Bush Corps. If the rural, Steve Antoni over on X, if the rural vote everywhere outside of Reno and Vegas have 85% turnout, then Trump wins by the end of the night. Okay. All right. T-Bone Tony, if urban vote doesn't turn out as expected, like in 2020, then Trump wins. However, if the Nevada GOP in all out votes in Clark County, like in 2022, and Washoe actually turned out as well heavily in person, then Trump wins. Are you in Nevada, T-Bone Tony? I'm curious. T-Bone Tony again. Thank God there's no snow tomorrow. You must be in Nevada. Yeah, I'm assuming you're in Nevada. Terry Wallace over on Rumble. Over on Rumble. I thought you're normally on YouTube. That's awesome. Just moved. Good to hear, Tony. I'm having to watch and listen on X because Rumble won't let me scroll while I listen. I don't know what's up. I haven't heard anybody from YouTube. Am I not live on YouTube? What's going on? Let's see. Normally you're watching over there on YouTube, I thought, Terry. Let's see here. I should be live on YouTube. Sorry, folks. I got to check the YouTube situation. I don't really care much about YouTube, though. No, it says I'm live over there. So, yeah, I don't know. If you guys are watching over on YouTube, if all three of you are watching over on YouTube, when you guys throw something in the chat so I know it's working over there. All right, let's keep going here. I got a bunch of California shenanigans to get into. Probably won't go for, I don't know. Maybe I will go 2 hours tonight. I don't know. Depends on how long and how many rants that I go off on. Let's see. Can't post comments to some destinations. Huh. That's weird. Okay. All right. Well, let's keep rolling here. We got Bob Tiergard and YouTube can suck it. I agree. 100%. Yeah, I got a strike on my channel over there. I can't remember why. I actually think it was medical misinformation that they said. So stupid. All right. Let's keep going here. Actually, no, this probably will be a long show. I forgot I had this whole block that I put together that I want to talk about because it's hard to put into words how different this election is from the 2020 election. Obviously, we don't have COVID going on, but there's something else. There's the X factor. And yes, pun intended. It's not Twitter anymore. And if you guys remember, I'm sure most of you do, leading up to the 2020 election, we had the Hunter Biden story pop out. The New York Post came out with the infamous Hunter Biden laptop where, he's doing hookers and blow on video. And, that's bad enough. But the information that was contained in that laptop that's super important that Democrats don't ever seem to want to talk about is the pay to play scheme, all the stuff that they accuse Trump of doing that Joe Biden had with Ukraine when he withheld $1 billion of foreign aid or threatened to withhold $1 billion of foreign aid if they didn't fire Victor Shokin, I believe is his name, the prosecutor that was looking into Hunter Biden's business dealings on the board of Burisma, an energy company. Why was Hunter Biden a sitting board member of a Ukrainian energy company with no energy experience whatsoever? It's weird. It's interesting. I don't know why. And I mean, even though Joe Biden was bragging on stage at some event, I can't remember what it was, where he said he brags about threatening the president of Ukraine that if this guy's not fired in the morning, you're not getting the $1 billion. And they say, well, you're not the president. You can't do that. And he was like, call Obama. You're not getting the $1 billion if Victor Shokin isn't fired. And he says, well, what do you know? He was fired. He's bragging about getting the prosecutor who was investigating his son sitting on the board of Burisma. He's bragging about withholding aid money if they don't fire him. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So that was the huge story that was suppressed. The New York Post comes out with the information, the oldest newspaper in the country, and Then you had 51 intelligence agency officers say it was fake, it was Russian misinformation. If you tried to post anything about it on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you would get you'd likely get your account suspended. The information would get suppressed. Even if you tried to direct message it to people, they wouldn't allow you to do that on all these platforms, which is insane, because that's not just one platform deciding to do it. That's clearly collusion. And then we found out later, when Matt Taibbi, Barry Weiss, and Michael Schellenberger were given access to all of the Slack communications from Twitter. Elon buys Twitter, and then all of a sudden he just opens the books. He's like, here you guys go, have a field day. And they proved that intelligence agencies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, all had back channels into Twitter. And I would assume that they had the same back channels into Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And they would just say, hey, this guy over here with 200 followers is sharing this article. Suspend his account. You got it, boss. Suspended. And it's just insane, because it's the government demanding a private company suppress the speech of ordinary American citizens on a huge issue that would have direct influence on the outcome of the 2020 election. Straight up election interference. It's worse than anything that they ever accused Russia of doing during the 2016 election with making memes or whatever. And it's proven that they did it. And of course, media companies aren't talking about it because, Operation Mockingbird, that whole thing never ended. So the intelligence agencies already had control of all, CNN, MSNBC, all that garbage. They were already going to do their bidding, but the wild card was these social media companies where we could speak freely and share things with each other. Well, they put the kibosh on that, and it was proven. And now think about how different of an atmosphere it is. We can, there's no October surprise like the Hunter Biden laptop this time, but we can talk. We can say things. We can, I can talk about the Hunter Biden laptop story now. I wouldn't be able to do this. My feed would have got shut down on YouTube immediately if this was 2020. You didn't even have the capability of streaming on X. I'm streaming on X right now. We didn't have the ability to talk about it on Twitter back then. Now we do. It's a completely different atmosphere. And this is the X factor, if you will, in the 2024 election. It very well could be the difference. And I don't know, I just think that's pretty awesome that we can talk about this stuff now. So in review of all the censorship they would like to have, this is let's listen to freaking John Brennan, like the worst guy, like the absolute worst deep state, horrible person that you can imagine. And he's really upset. He's really upset that we can talk about stuff, you guys. So let's listen to John Brennan complaining about how nobody believes him anymore because he came out and said that the Hunter Biden laptop was likely Russian disinformation. And oopsie daisies, guess I was wrong about that. 51 intelligence agency officials, former or present, said it was all Russian misinformation. So let's listen to this slimeball John Brennan complain about how nobody believes me anymore.
This is not surprising at all. We have seen this continuous pattern over the course of many years of Donald Trump endorsing individuals such as a Hitler, disparaging the U.S. military, advocating for fascism.
Wait, did he just say Donald Trump endorsed Hitler? I got to hear that again. Sorry.
Many years of Donald Trump endorsing individuals such as a Hitler, disparaging the U.S. military.
What?
Advocating for fascism, which is what John Kelly said. That
disparaging the military. No, he doesn't do that all the time. The military freaking loves Donald Trump. Advocating for fascism. Okay, Let's keep going.
He is fascist. And just like Mark Milley, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who said that.
Okay. So the guy that signed a letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was fake leading up to the days before the election, suppressing the speech of Americans and the oldest newspaper in the country, is calling Donald Trump fascist. That's rich.
That Donald Trump is fascist to the core. It just demonstrates that Donald Trump is not interested in promoting our democratic system and our values as Americans. And so therefore, I find it absurd and appalling that so many Americans are willing to just dismiss these comments. And the undecided voters that are still out there, I think they really need to take this into account when you have individuals such as John Kelly and Mark Milley saying this about Donald Trump. Is this the country that you want your children and grandchildren to grow up in? I certainly hope not.
Why are they dismissing all these things after we lied about Donald Trump for 10 years? The Russiagate scandal, the Very Fine People hoax, the bloodbath thing, most recently, that he wants to put Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad thing. I had a discussion with my buddy Mark about this today. I have a very close friend who's a gay lefty. And of course, his biggest issues are gay marriage and abortion. But one of the first things he said when we started talking about this stuff was he threatened the life of Liz Cheney. I was just like, dude, how do you just buy into this stuff? Just wholesale, just buy into it. He's like, well, I heard him say it. What did you hear him say? You heard him say, let's give her a rifle and put her on the front lines, paraphrasing, obviously. But if you're going to put somebody in front of a firing squad, you don't say, let's give them a rifle first. I don't need to explain to you guys, you know, but he's very clearly, not so eloquently, very clearly talking about Liz Cheney being a war hawk, sending sons and daughters off to the front lines to fight and die. Let's put her in that situation. If she's going to vote for it, let's make her fight the war. It's clearly what he's saying, and just the whole news media just ran with it. It's, you know, the CNN guy came out and apologized for saying that's what Trump said. Even Snopes debunked the silly freaking article, but it's unbelievable. It's amazing. Okay, so let's go over to Clint Russell here. He says, I strongly believe that this man and the other 50 former intelligence agents that signed off on the laptop letter should be prosecuted for election interference, zero remorse, shameful. So let's listen to this guy justify the letter that they sent that said this is Russian disinformation. The Hunter Biden laptop is fake. It's Russian misinformation, disinformation, whatever the hell that they said. This guy just full on, like Clint said, no remorse, shamelessly justifying his actions. So it's insane.
That it has all the classic earmarks of a Russian campaign in the way it was disseminated and propagated through media.
Do you regret signing on to the letter?
Oh, absolutely not, because those words
are
still true.
Do you think
it has all the classic earmarks? Oh, absolutely not. No,
even though it wasn't true. It had the classic earmarks, but it wasn't true.
What is not true?
That it was Russian disinformation.
That's not what we said in the letter. Read the actual letter, and we said we do not know if this is Russian disinformation.
It has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation.
Exactly. The difference between an information campaign and a disinformation campaign
not get to candidate
and a misinformation campaign. It's not my fault if people don't look up definitions.
I know, but
he's splitting hairs over 51 intelligence agencies saying this has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. We didn't actually say it's fake. We just said it kind of looks fake. This guy is an absolute scumbag.
The purpose of the letter is to have an effect. And the nuance that you're talking about here never made it to candidate Biden because he said it plainly on a debate stage that obviously affected the dynamic. Yeah. Don't you think?
I would absolutely love for all news media to show nuance on all these issues instead of racing to sound bites. And in this case, some news media race to sound bites. That's not helpful for the.
So he's saying that these lies that they told, these blatant lies that they told, didn't have any effect on the election. It didn't sway things in Joe Biden's favor. Then why'd you do it? Then why'd you chime in at all? If it wasn't going to have any effect, why would you do it?
the American people. And I
You
really
think
wish
your
that
letter
people,
was helpful for the American people.
well, instead of quoting one sentence from it, people actually read maybe an
Oh, instead of quoting one sentence from it, like when Donald Trump said there was very fine people on both sides, and then you clipped it and didn't show him denouncing and saying that, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists, they should be condemned completely. That kind of clipping, is that what you're talking about? That what the media has been doing for 10 years to Donald Trump, taking things that he said out of context and trying to say that he meant something different, like the bloodbath thing, saying it's going to be a bloodbath in this country, when he was talking about the automotive market. The Liz Cheney thing, saying that he's calling for the assassination of Liz Cheney when he's clearly talking about putting her in the war that she's voting for. This guy is a sick freaking piece of shit.
entire paragraph. It shows that we don't know if it's Russian.
It affected anything?
I don't know if it affected anything.
But
We
you were
don't
trying to.
analyze American political
But you were
environments.
trying.
Bullshit.
What we were trying to do is point out that this has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information campaign. Not to say it's Russian disinformation, but to say that the propagation through American media and international media has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information campaign, because we've seen it over and over and over again. They love to sow these kind of divisions and exacerbate them. That's not American, that's Russian.
I got you.
Yeah.
But it ended up being.
I can't stand his pompous nature. And I even hate his suit. I hate everything about this man.
A Biden information campaign because he used it in the campaign and in that debate.
I encourage you to ask him about that.
And I will. Thank you very much.
You bet.
For the
What a fucking piece of shit. What a fucking scumbag. I'm sorry. Sorry for the F-bombs. Sorry, Shelly. Let's see. Travelmate over on YouTube. Awesome. Yes, it's irrational on defies all but one explanation. Cult. The Dems have become a cult. Yes. Yes. And it's the whole Orwell says something about it in 1984, where it's like, you actually, it might have been Yuri Bezmenov, where you could show them proof right in front of their face that something didn't happen or what they came to believe was false. You can show them the proof right in front of their face, and they won't see it because they have wholesale bought in. And that is what we're seeing, that especially here in California, with more specifically in the Bay Area, the coastal cities, LA, the Democrat strongholds. They've just bought into this stuff wholesale. And part of the reason, aside from the whole cult thing, that if you've come to attach your identity to something that you believe in with every fiber of your being, and then all of a sudden you look at things that prove all of those things false, it's reality shattering to you. It's very difficult to be able to let go of an idea that you've so strongly held for so long. And nobody wants to be wrong, especially when you've built your whole identity around it, or you've attached it to your persona, your whole belief structure. It's reality shattering. I understand why it's so hard for people to shift. And that's why the corporate press telling these lies, it really is a brainwashing propaganda campaign. I don't know how else you could describe it. They even talk about when you say the same thing over and over and over, people just accept it as true after a certain amount of time. So everybody coming out, all of the corporate press, I think even Fox News, when they said Russia, the collusion with the Trump campaign in Russia to get him elected. Well, if all the news outlets are saying it, and they're saying it nonstop for years, the vast majority of people are just going to accept it to be true. A ton of people still think it's true. They still think Russia, that's why they can still pull off this Russia nonsense and say the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. That was 4 years later, and people were still buying it. And so, I mean, this is two Russia hoaxes proven wrong. The Trump campaign colluding with Russia to get him elected by what? Convincing them to send memes. And 4 years later, Russia somehow creating the Hunter Biden laptop. Like, you didn't even explain how it was the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation. They had the damn laptop. It was proven that it was Hunter Biden's laptop. Like, he doesn't even explain how it has the earmarks of Russian disinformation, because bridge that gap for me. Russian earmarks on it. Was it a Russian laptop? No, it was an American-made laptop. Was it owned by a Russian agent and turned into this computer repair place and he pretended to be Hunter Biden? No, Hunter Biden left it there because he's a crackhead. Oh, so what are the earmarks? What are these Russian disinformation earmarks? It makes no sense. So it's just they've been doing the Russia thing for 8 years, and it's psychotic. It's truly freaking psychotic. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to try not to rant too much on every freaking video that I play. But, I mean, here, J.D. Vance on the Joe Rogan interview was fantastic. I mean, I've really come to I had a lot of criticisms of J.D. Vance. I wasn't exactly happy with Trump's pick of J.D. Vance, primarily because of his relationship with Peter Thiel and Peter Thiel's relationship with the CIA, with Palantir and all that shit. But it is hard not to like the guy. They called him weird. You listen to this Joe Rogan interview, and it's like, this is like the most normal guy on the planet. This guy's just like a very normal, salt of the earth type dude. And he's witty. He's highly intelligent, obviously. He explains himself extremely well. He's super rational. And here's him explaining just what I was talking about with the Hunter Biden laptop situation. It's fantastic. If you guys haven't listened to the J.D. Vance Joe Rogan interview, I think it's better than the Trump interview, personally. And Elon was on with Joe Rogan again today. So that's like the triple whammy right there. But here, this is from Officer Lou. Watch J.D. Vance explains exactly how the 2020 election was rigged, rips up in the media for being involved in the cover-up. So really quick before I play the video, this is how, well, it's one of the ways, how the intelligence agencies, the Biden campaign, and the deep state rigged the 2020 election. Ballots, voting machines, all that stuff aside, they suppressed, with how close the election ended up being, they suppressed vital information to the American people that showed clear collusion and a pay-to-play scheme between Joe Biden and Ukraine. Laid out clear as day, and they suppressed that information. How many people would have looked at that information and said, you know what, I can't vote for Joe Biden because of this, and either switched their vote to Trump or didn't vote altogether? That single act that they did very well could have turned the election in Joe Biden's favor. That single act that they did. And that's why they did it. And J.D. Vance explains exactly that right here.
This is where I always get pissed about the media conversation around what happened in 2020. Is what they'll do is they'll sort of find the craziest conspiracy theory about what happened in 2020. They'll debunk it and say, "Oh, look, this shows that nothing bad happened in 2020." There's a nonpartisan organization that actually looked at what would have happened to Americans' votes if they had just known the truth about the fact that Joe Biden fundamentally had traded his political influence for money. Like, that's what it was. It's an old-fashioned American corruption story. I will give you access to powerful people in exchange for money, right? That was the true scandal of the Hunter Biden laptop. Again, it wasn't Hunter Biden doing cocaine with a stripper.
That was the fun part.
You can say that. I have an election to win.
And that's the thing too. He's just quick-witted and funny. That was funny.
That was the real
It was
scandal.
the corruption.
It was the corruption. And this
evidence of the corruption.
And direct evidence of the corruption. And a nonpartisan organization said that knowledge, which was suppressed by the entire American media and big tech scene, that would have changed millions upon millions of votes. And we know that the number in 4 swing states was 88,000 votes that were the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden winning the 2020 election. So set to the side all of the other arguments about fraud and all the other rule changes that happened in the midst of COVID. We know that big tech colluded with our own sort of, I would say colluded. The one thing I'll say about Zuckerberg is, and I don't know him super well. I've never had a problem with him, but I do wonder if it's a convenient excuse. I don't doubt that the FBI said, hey, this is Russian disinformation, but these companies still have to take some agency over this too, right? So I think it was both the corruption of the FBI and the intelligence services, but also the big technology companies themselves. Both of them are at blame. And I think fundamentally, if they had not done what they did, Donald Trump would have won another term as president of the United States. You're never going to be able to convince me that if millions upon millions of swing voters knew the evidence of Joe Biden's corruption and it was staring them in the face, that we would not have been able to pull that one out.
100%. And he explained it way better than I did. It's how many people would have voted for Donald Trump instead of Joe Biden had they known that information, an actual pay-to-play scheme. I guess we'll never know. People know now, and Kamala is not any better than Joe Biden. So I don't know. So on that note, you know, they justify all of their censorship, their actual censorship, and their censorship attempts or their censorship hopes. They justify it by saying that they want to stop the spread of misinformation and disinformation, which is just dubious terms in the first place. But how many things did they censor that turned out to be true? Like the Hunter Biden laptop, like myocarditis being caused by the vaccine, like blood clots, like the lab leak theory that turned out to be true. All of these things that you would have gotten your account suspended for because they said it was misinformation turned out to be true. So obviously there's some flaws there. If you want to have some sort of governmental arbiter of truth, like remember they tried to create a ministry of truth. Joe Biden did. There's glaring problems with that because somebody has to be the all-wise, all-knowing person that decides what's true and what's false. And nobody is unbiased. So naturally, things that are true will get censored. I mean, we're seeing it in Brazil right now. So this is some freaking redcoat. I don't even know who this guy is, but some Brit. This is from TechCrunch. It's just this TechCrunch is like the TechCrunch Disrupt. If you guys watch Silicon Valley ever, it's this big convention. I believe it's put on in the Bay Area too. Big convention, tech companies that's put on every year. Anyway, it's from TechCrunch. Grok is the worst of the image generators for guardrails, according to tests completed by the Center for Countering Digital Hate. The Center for Countering Digital Hate. And the CCDH CEO Imran Ahmed says, okay, all right, let's listen to this freaking redcoat talk about how he'd like to censor Americans. Freaking garbage human.
We tested Grok to see whether or not it had any guardrails at all. It is the worst of all the image generators. There are zero guardrails. You can produce images of election workers destroying ballots that could flood onto social media. And
oh no!
I mean, we know what that can lead to. It can lead to people being hurt. And yet there are no guardrails whatsoever. They revel in the fact there are no guardrails. We tested Grok to see whether or not it had any guardrails at all. It is the worst.
We tested Grok to see if there's any guardrails at all. Freaking scumbag. They're all the same. They all think that there should be censorship. They're freaking nutbags. All right. Let's go. Here's Clint Russell again. So he says, the sheer audacity that anyone on effing CNN would want laws to prevent lying through the media. Hey, genius, you'd be in jail. So, all right, let's go to the CNN clip with the freaking potato man himself, Brian Stelter, talking with a bunch of other, authoritarians that would love to have censorship.
And you see that in these comments, I think, about the hurricanes with Trump.
If I may, I think this is the time that we have to really seriously start talking about legislation when it comes to lying on the media. We have to start thinking about a fairness doctrine for the new millennium, because.
So even there, if the media says something that's false and they do it unknowingly, thinking it's true information, is that lying or is that just being wrong? So you want to throw those people in jail? Is that what you're saying, lady? You crazy, white, affluent, liberal woman?
We shouldn't be able to just lie to the American public, because you should be able to trust your president. You should be able to trust your news stations. You should be able to trust the people that are in leadership positions. They shouldn't just be able to lie to you for
But
profit
who
or power.
decides? Who decides?
Well, this is
I'm
this
all
is
for truth,
something.
but we tried that.
Holy crap, Brian Stelter made a good point. Exactly. Who decides? Wow. Brian Stelter asking the question that he's supposed to ask. Amazing.
That twice.
No.
In
Well,
American
we're going to
history,
have to
and
try it
was a
again because we
horrific
didn't have the
failure,
internet
so.
before. We didn't have the internet before, and sometimes you need legislation. It is very
They didn't
important.
have radios before they did it the second
No,
time.
but you
so
still
it's the
need to
same
do it because
argument.
this is clearly not sustainable. We cannot carry on with the president saying that the immigrants are coming in and slitting your throat in your kitchen. Absolutely, completely untrue. We cannot say that FEMA is not on the ground.
Side note, someone on BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, just got their throat slit. I don't think they were an illegal immigrant, but, you know, that just happened.
When they are. You can't say we gave all the money away to the migrants when that's not true, because people are going to get genuinely upset, as they should, because
Didn't we just have a huge hurricane situation? And there was a bunch of FEMA people who were like, we don't got the money. And then we find out that a bunch of FEMA money was given to illegal immigrants. It's almost like this lady is spreading misinformation and she should be locked up with this legislation she's proposing.
that's a terrible thing if that was happening, except it's not.
But hold on.
And the president should not be able to say that. The person running for president should not be able to say that. And so I do think that it is essential that we start thinking about how do we solve some of these problems, because it is unsustainable for us to live in not reality, which is where we are living now.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the pets of the people who live there. All right, let's keep going here. Let's check in with the chat. Let's see. Travel Made over on YouTube. The level of effort required to fake the entire laptop corpus would have been phenomenal. Then to hide it and in an obscure store to be discovered. Yeah, it's insane. Bob Tiergarten over on Rumble. The reason they pushed all the Russian interference and Putin's puppet narrative was to get the left on board with a larger conflict with Russia. Valid point. Interesting. I don't think I thought of that. Interesting. Travelmate over on YouTube. There is no one at all on the left to compare to Vance as a smart, real guy. Yeah, I mean, they had Tulsi Gabbard, and so yeah, anybody that presents any sort of reasonable approach from the left gets kicked out of the party. Yeah, I mean, only person I could think of it would be Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of another reasonable leftist. The mayor of San Jose, Matt Mahan, I think is his name. He's not bad. He is a leftist, but of all the Bay Area cities, San Jose has probably run the best. So he's actually endorsing Prop 36, which will help pull back some of the nonsense that was allowed to happen with Prop 47 here in California. So yeah, you're right. The advances. Yeah, and there's a lot of people on the right, the right, conservatives or Republicans or whatever, that are reasonable, like J.D. Vance, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, good, solid libertarian people. Travel Made over on YouTube, but you know what? This BS likely collapses tomorrow. Here's a fresh take. Riots will die down quick because the left has lost their power over the public. Well, they got some stuff planned. I'll get into that in a minute. Troublemate overplayed their hand, and with their is J6 narrative, it's J6 narrative. It's going to be hard for them to revolt and not look ridiculous. Yeah, businesses are still boarding up their windows though. They're doing that over in Oakland. They're doing it in Portland. They're probably doing it up in parts of Washington as well. All right, let's keep going here. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of other stuff to get into. So on that censorship note, so same kind of psychopath that we just heard from, that two psychopaths that we just heard from that want to censor speech and have an arbiter of truth. Here's John Kerry talking at some World Economic Forum thing. I played this my last stream, but that was a whole 3 weeks ago, so I'll just play it again. John Kerry being upset that the First Amendment's in his way.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact.
There it is, right there. The referees that we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact. You mean the corporate press that's controlled by intelligence agencies? Those people, those referees?
Have been eviscerated to a certain degree. And
good.
People go and then people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45.
Why do you need consensus from the public? What are you talking about? You want everybody to be like, yes, Russian misinformation, sir. Trump bad, Orange Man bad. He wants a consensus of the public to make it so we're easier to govern. It's really hard to govern these days. This is an authoritarian psychopath. That's it.
About 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're
like CNN, that like that, MSNBC, like Rachel Maddow saying that if you get the vaccine, you will not spread the virus. You cannot get the virus. And then tons of people go out and they take this experimental injection that they didn't actually need to take because they weren't at risk. Like that kind of sick information, if they only go to one source. Is that what you're describing, John Kerry?
Putting out disinformation. Our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So
there's a reason the First Amendment is the first amendment in the Constitution. It's for psychopath, authoritarian maniacs like John Kerry.
What we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways. And
so
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
What a maniac. Freaking maniac. Okay, let's keep going. Unbelievable. So he wants to be the arbiter of truth. And, they talk about misinformation and disinformation and all that stuff. You guys ever heard of the wrap-up smear? Nancy Pelosi explains it very clearly. And she probably shouldn't have, because she's bragging about, being dishonest and releasing dishonest information to the media in order to use that dishonest information to create legislation based on that dishonest information. It's insane. So she talks about the politicians or the intelligence agencies or whoever leaking information to a reporter. That reporter reports on said information, and then politicians are like, oh, see, they reported on it. We need to create legislation around it, when the whole thing was fake. Like, here's Nancy Pelosi explaining the wrap-up smear.
and it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise.
These are the people that want to stop the spread of misinformation on the internet. She's talking about smearing someone with falsehoods. You mean like Donald Trump and saying Russia collusion, all that stuff? And then the media, it's all psychotic. These people are fucking psychos.
And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
Look how pleased she is with herself when she explains this dubious, underhanded thing that they do. And with that in mind, the wrap-up smear, I mean, it's not just smearing a person. It could be, the vaccine safe and effective. The vaccine didn't, or the virus didn't come from the Wuhan lab. See, even they're reporting on it. It's this whole cyclical thing that they do. It's Operation Mockingbird, explaining right there. These people are psychopaths. They are freaking psychopaths. All right, let's keep going because this is kind of in the same vein. This is Jamie Raskin, another horrible, horrible scumbag in our government, explaining how, if things don't go their way, they're going to do everything they can to spread propaganda and create civil war conditions. If you guys haven't heard this clip, it's only 13 seconds, and I wish I had more because I'd like to hear what he says before and after. But it's hard to see how this could have been taken out of context. Maybe it is. You guys got the full clip. You want to put it in the comments? Go ahead. But what he's explaining here seems absolutely insane to me.
It's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody and civil war conditions, all because it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified.
So it sounds to me like he's explaining that if Trump wins, they have to overthrow him, not having a peaceful transfer of power, as they like to say. That sounds like what he's saying. Maybe this clip is out of context, but that certainly sounds like what he's saying. So he got confronted. I actually haven't watched this clip yet. So this will be, I haven't heard this yet. So this is from Sherry over on X, giant account. I don't know anything about her. Oh, she's a runner though. She's my people. Huh. What? She follows me. 312. Sorry, you're a runner. You're my people. Freaking homie. All right. Just followed her back. My account kind of blew up over the last freaking 2 weeks. So there's a whole bunch of people that are like, I don't know who followed me. It was hard to keep up. I gained like 10,000 followers in like a week. It was kind of insane. That was from that post that I had go viral where Andrew Tate chimed in. Okay. So she says, Jamie Raskin loses his case in court. Reporter confronts him on his threat for a real insurrection if Trump wins. So the clip that we just talked about. So I can't wait to see this because I haven't seen this clip yet. So let's see what crazy ass Raskin. He probably didn't even respond, but let's see.
Congressman Raskin, is it true that you are planning your own insurrection if Trump wins tomorrow?
Well done.
Is it also true that you were a red diaper baby, just like Steve Bannon said you were? How long was your father a communist, Congressman Raskin?
Oh, that's great.
No comment for the citizens?
Why is this guy wearing a... You know how you're not allowed to wear any sort of political shirts or clothing or anything to go vote? You shouldn't be allowed to wear a mask because that clearly identifies your political affiliation.
Nothing says elitist like a personal security team
Well, I would. That's the only thing I'll push back on that he said. All these politicians need personal security, especially in the times we live in today.
New York tags. Who says outside influences aren't at work in this district?
That was good. All right, Jamie Raskin, he was one of the like top people that were pushing the whole insurrection, January 6th impeachment crap. He was one of the top guys. He's a scumbag, absolute scumbag. All right, I want to go to a Tucker. This is like the whole. This is a whole half-hour clip, so I can't play the whole thing, obviously. But you guys remember the guy that created the Hillary Clinton meme that said you guys can go vote like Thursday for Hillary Clinton or some shit like that, and they ended up locking him up. You guys remember that back in 2016? He made a meme that was like, if anybody believes this meme, you're kind of a moron, that you can go vote for Hillary Clinton after the election's over. But they locked him up for it, saying that it was voter suppression. So this is Douglas Mackey, and you'll see why I'm playing this in a minute here. But yeah, let's go right over to him talking about the meme.
Twitter. I want to put this up. You posted this on Twitter. This is a meme. It says, "Save time, avoid the line, vote from home." And it's got.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. So vote from home. Text Hillary to 59925, and we'll make history together this November 8th. So, I mean, it's like obviously satire. I mean, if you're dumb enough to believe this, you shouldn't be voting at all. But anyway, they put him in jail for this. So let's listen to him talk about it.
Got a picture of Hillary Clinton. Text Hillary to this number. Did you make this meme?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
you didn't create this?
No.
Where'd it come from?
I found it on 4chan.
Okay, so it was floating around the internet.
He didn't even make it.
Yeah, these kind of memes were floating all over the place.
Oh, they probably came from
And
Russia.
You posted it on Twitter. What was the point of that?
Well, pardon my French, but it was called a shit post.
Yeah.
We talked about this a lot at the trial. I testified. Just sort of a joke, rile up everybody, muddy the waters, and mostly just because I thought my audience would find it funny.
Did they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I find it hilarious. You're obviously from Northern New England. You have a very dry sense of humor.
Very dry.
Yeah, I noticed that. So, did you get a sense when you posted that was a crime, or that it would be perceived as a crime?
No, absolutely not.
So we have to, and I want to play this. This is from Hillary Clinton. This is from this April, so long after you were indicted, long after you went on trial. And this is Hillary Clinton describing that meme.
There was just a trial in Brooklyn where a guy who had been one of the main, I guess he was one of the main people running memes against me in 2016. He went from what you could consider free speech. I mean, both Nancy and I have pretty thick skins. People say all kinds of things about us. But he went from that to running a
thick, scaly lizard skin.
Very deliberate effort to mislead people about where and how to vote. Yeah. So it went from speech to action meant to subvert the election, because thousands of people who they targeted through their algorithms, I can text my vote for Hillary Clinton.
So Hillary Clinton,
all right, so that's enough that I'll play from the Tucker Carlson interview. But so it's interesting that he should go to jail for that, and then this happened just a few nights ago. So this is from the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and tell me if you guys spot the difference. Spot the difference here.
Give him a call. Wrestle that mop bucket out of his hands. I don't know if you guys know about this, but we have an election coming up on. I feel pretty relaxed about it. I've really been enjoying the week. It's in times like these, it's important to remember that cannabis is legal in our state. But you have to vote. If you can vote early, vote early. If you can't vote early, vote on time. If you want to vote for Trump, vote late, vote very late. So you're voting on Thursday or maybe Friday. This will be my third time voting against Donald Trump. Fifth, if you count the 2 times he was nominated for an Emmy for a reality show host.
Okay. So there it is. Another, obviously, clearly a joke. Vote for Trump. Vote late. Vote Thursday or Friday. So is Jimmy Kimmel going to get in trouble for that one? Is that election interference? Is he going to go to jail? Just curious. I mean, the difference is it's not a meme. And again, the guy didn't even create the meme. He just shared it. He found it on 4chan. So unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. So, yeah. And, you know, you guys all saw this. She, well, maybe you didn't see it because it's super cringe, but, you know, Kamala Harris went on Saturday Night Live. This is from Michael Schellenberger. He says the producer of Saturday Night Live said neither Harris nor Trump would appear on the show because of election laws. Last night, about 60 hours before the polls opened, he put Harris on the show in a warm and humanizing sketch. He and NBC violated equal time provision on the law. People are saying that it's not actually true because they offered Trump like a 4-minute spot on NBC or some crap like that. But I mean, I actually don't really care. There's so much going on that I don't even have time to get into this one too much. But her skit was basically copying Trump's skit with Jimmy Fallon from, I guess that was 4 years ago. I don't know when it was from, actually. Maybe it's even from 2016. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Did they break I don't know. Did they break election laws? I don't freaking know. So whatever. This is from Jonathan Choi, and he posted this sign here. He says, signs going up right now indicating there will be election night mayhem in Seattle. The far left activists are planning to take over Cal Anderson Park in Capitol Hill. You remember Capitol Hill, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, Chaz? You guys remember that from the George Floyd riots, 2020? Antifa wants comrades to wear masks and body armor. Governor Inslee, send in the all National Guard troops here. So this is the sign that's being circulated, apparently. A win for Trump or Harris is a win for genocide abroad and a militarized police state at home. The world watches as a new Holocaust is carried out and broadcast daily, titled "Everything is Fucked." Let's express our displeasure in the SFFFTS. I'm not sure what that means. November 5th, 2024, Cal Anderson Park, occupied Duwamish territories. Come with a crew, wear black block, wear all black and masks and cover your face, is what they say. So I don't know. I don't expect this to be as big as the CIA backed nonsense that was and I don't have any proof of the CIA backing the nonsense that happened during 2020, but that sure was sure did seem well funded. But all right, that's all I got in the censorship realm of things. But you know how this show goes. I gotta talk about some California stuff. So let's check in with the chat here, and then we'll get over some California issues. Let's see. Okay. Travelmate over on YouTube. Glad the U.S. isn't a democracy. Travelmate, you're frustrated because you're trying to process how they can possibly be so irrational, dishonest, etc., but they're playing by cult rules and only care about what their followers think. Travelmate, yeah, you're popping up in my Twitter feed more lately. Huh. Interesting. I don't know if you consider that a good or a bad thing. Mahanish. Let's see. Thick, scaly lizard skin. Yeah, damn straight. Freaking lizard people. All right, let's keep going here. There's plenty of California stuff that I want to get into. And I'll cut it at 2 hours, just wherever we're at. I'll just kind of cut it there. But yeah, I want to talk about some California stuff. So let's go over to a news article from, where is this from? Can't remember. Channel 3. What is this? KCBW? Is that what it is? Let's see. KCRA. So this is they're shutting off power in a bunch of Bay Area counties, 17 Bay Area counties tomorrow, election day. My power will be shut off tomorrow at 9 a.m. and it'll stay off until 3 in the afternoon. I was planning on live streaming. I was going to start early. Can't start till after 3 o'clock now, and I need a couple hours to prep, so probably can't start live streaming until 5 o'clock tomorrow at least. And I got my buddy Harrison Tinsley coming on, so we'll have all sorts of stuff to talk about. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be live streaming other people's live streams. This is what I'm probably going to do, because everybody in the world is going to be live streaming the election coverage. So we'll check in with, I'll pull up what the Timcast crew is saying. I'll pull up what Jamie over at the Quartering is saying. We'll listen to a whole bunch of different people that are covering it, and me and Harrison will just kind of go back and forth and say what we think. So it'll just be fun, just kind of a hangout stream. If you guys want to pop in, say hi, put something in the chat, all that kind of good stuff. All right, let's. This is from KCRA Channel 3. Let's play the video so I don't have to read the article because I'm lazy.
And those winds moving in are triggering PG&E to put residents on high alert. Customers in Solano County could lose their...
Oh, they're doing it because of the wind, you guys. Today it was 72 degrees. November just turned the clocks back. It's supposed to be cold and stuff. It was 72 degrees here, no wind. Had an amazing run today. Met some horses, met some Boston Terriers. Fantastic run. Little 5.5 miler, very fun one over at Henry Cowell. Beautiful day. It's probably gonna be another beautiful day tomorrow. And they're shutting off power in 17 counties because of the wind.
their power tomorrow night.
And that includes some polling locations. KCRA 3's Maricela de la Cruz is live in Vacaville.
Maricela,
plans are in place should polling places be impacted tomorrow and have the power shut off, correct?
Yeah, and it's Solano County is one of the counties with the largest number of impacted customers.
Wait, hold on. Did she say polling places are going to have their power cut off?
County is one of the counties with the largest
places be impacted tomorrow and have the power shut off, correct? And KCRA 3's Maricela de la Cruz is live in Vacaville. Maricela, plans are in place should polling places be impacted tomorrow and have the.
Okay. So at first I was just like, well, they're shutting off power in my neighborhood because they're going to be replacing a pole or something like that. But now this is turning into a much more widespread thing. We're going to have power turned off at polling situations or polling stations. What the hell is going on? This is insane. This is absolute madness. Like how more in your face does it need to be? I mean, California already has universal mail-in ballots. All you need to do is check a box to say you're a citizen. You can, there's ballot harvesting. We passed a law saying that you not only do you not have to show ID, it's illegal for poll workers to ask for your ID. They passed a law saying that you can't hand count ballots. Did you guys know that? California passed a law saying that counties that say, no, we want to hand count our ballots, they can't do that. It's illegal. Shasta County wanted to do that. They don't trust the Dominion voting machines. Illegal. Gavin Newsom made it, and Rob Bonta made it illegal for poll workers to ask for ID, even in counties where they want to ask for ID. They also made it illegal for them to hand count ballots. What possible justification could you have for those two things except fraud? Now they're turning off the power on election day in 17 different counties, and polling stations will likely be affected. You guys, this is madness. This is absolute freaking madness.
power shut off, correct?
Yeah, and Solano County is one of the counties with the largest number of impacted customers. And a lot of these customers are located around the foothills of Vacaville. And as you mentioned, one of the places that would be impacted is a polling location that's going to be open tomorrow at Moose Lodge, Chapter 1498. That's located along Gibson Canyon Road. We heard from Solano County Registrar's Office, who only found out about this after we asked about their plan. They said they had not been in touch with PG&E. However, since the shutoffs are expected to begin at 7 o'clock, they do have battery UPS units delivered at every single polling location. These can run all the equipment for 4 hours. So the big message to everyone that is going to be coming out here, that is going to be voting at that specific location, is that voting operations will continue regardless of any PSPS being in effect. As for residents in this area, residential area where we have been throughout the day, they tell us that these PSPS warnings are not uncommon out here, and they are just hoping that these don't last more than a few hours.
Fortunately, the public safety power shutoffs are not expected to begin until well after the polling locations have closed. Nonetheless, the 2 locations that we know of, we have brought in backup generation just in case they need that. And any other location that is in need of that service, we will do that as well.
I don't have. How much of a coincidence is it that they announced power is going to be shut off in 17 different counties on election day, and then my power is going to be turned off for a completely different reason in my neighborhood, and however other many neighborhoods, because they're going to swap out a pole. So mine's for a completely different reason. They're saying that they're shutting off power because they're expecting high winds. And then my power is being shut off. My whole neighborhood is being shut off because they're going to replace a pole. They decided to replace a pole on election day. I can't.
Any life-threatening issues at the moment where I need a generator or something. So I think I can hang a day. As long as it's not more than that, then we'll see.
Okay, I can't hear any more of this. So I think I'm going to do this. I have a friend that can make me a t-shirt on the spot. She's over there in Felton. That's where I made those "You Missed Fuckers" shirts with Trump's ear bleeding when he was at the, the fight picture, the famous picture. I had those made within an hour of when he got shot. So that was cool. I'm going to go down there tomorrow. This is just stupid. I'm just going to do it to see what happens. But I haven't voted yet. I'd like to vote in person. So that's what I planned on doing tomorrow. But just to be a shithead, you can't wear political stuff. So I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my friend's shop and I'm going to give her my ID. I'm going to cover up my address on it, maybe cover up a couple of the letters of my driver's license number, and I'm going to have her make me a t-shirt with my driver's license on it. They're going to look at my ID. All right. They may not let me pull out my ID from my wallet, so I'm going to put it on my t-shirt. I'm going to put my ID on my t-shirt and go vote. And yes, I will do everything I can to record it. I'm pretty sure they don't want any recording going on in there, so I'll probably have to be sneaky about it. But yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. Wearing my ID on my t-shirt and going to vote. So let's keep going here. Let's go over to the Gateway Pundit. So the Gateway Pundit reports. Actually, let me check in the chat really quick here. So Travelmate over on YouTube. You follow Styx. Yeah. He's streaming. Absolutely. Yes, I follow Styx. I would imagine he's going to be streaming with Jeremy. He's been streaming with Jeremy from the Quartering lately. Maybe he's just doing his own stream. Yeah, I'll check over with Styx. He's the best. I love that guy. Mahanish, not windy at all in San Jose either. Lots of lines in the sky all weekend. Boom. It will be windy tomorrow. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down there. Okay, let's keep going here. So this is a report from the Gateway Pundit. They say millions of non-citizen voters in California are enough to decide any election in the state. So this is from Joe Hoft. So this article's not, it's kind of long, but I'll read the whole thing. Just go ahead and read it, whatever. Non-citizen votes in California enough to decide any election in the state. Much concerns has justly been raised over the possibility of non-citizens voting in our elections. State officials have gone on record saying that the protections in place keep non-citizens off the voter rolls, and besides, any non-citizen who tries to register a vote will be automatically deported and barred from ever returning. Yeah, right. This is California, a sanctuary state. No way. California is one of the most populous states in the union and has one of the largest populations of non-citizens. It's a sanctuary state where even law enforcement is prohibited from asking if someone is a citizen. See, I'm telling you guys, the sanctuary state laws, they're insane if you guys go down that rabbit hole. There's so many laws that are passed that people don't even know exist that are just banana balls. It is also a universal vote by mail state where where every active voter in its rolls will be sent a ballot. The results of an election in California affect 54 electoral college votes, more than any other state, and over 10% of the 538 total electoral college votes. That's why it pisses me off so much that everybody just writes off California as a blue state. 54 electoral votes. That's insane. So Republicans are just automatically starting at a 54 electoral deficit. That's insane. Everybody just writes off California. And I mean, again, the two laws: can't hand count ballots, illegal to ask for ID. And then the universal mail-in ballot thing. Like, our elections, like, those three ways rig the elections. I haven't heard an argument that counters what I just said. These three things, not being allowed to hand count ballots, illegal; not being allowed to ask for ID at voting stations, illegal; universal mail-in ballots for everyone. Those three things rig the elections for the super party Democrats, supermajority Democrats. Like, tell me how I'm wrong there. Put a community note next to this. Even though citizenship is a requirement for voting in a national election, we know that registrations have been accepted from non-citizens, and many of them have been told they can vote. How large is that number, and can they really affect the outcome of the election? I'm a member of a group of investigators who have been looking at California election concerns for over 3 years. One of our concerns has been non-citizens on our voter rolls. Again, actually, I don't think I mentioned this yet. The Department of Motor Vehicles in California automatically registers people to vote. You're automatically registered to vote when you renew your registration or your driver's license. California gives driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. How they make sure that they don't get registered to vote, I don't know. Okay, the state has made it difficult to identify them, and it is easy for them to vote. While we are still working to get actual names on these non-citizens so they can be removed from the rolls, we have obtained information that allows us to estimate the number present. The picture is not pretty. Investigations have required a bit of detective work as well as bringing together data from multiple sources. Every bit of data we've used has come from official government sources, either federal or state, so there is no speculation involved, at least not on our part. The California voter rolls contain a lot of information about registered voters. That includes such things as where the person was born and when they first registered to vote. Using information from the official state voter rolls, we were able to compile separate lists of voters born inside the U.S. and voters born outside. Voters born outside are automatically citizens. Voters born inside are automatically citizens, while those born outside, with only a few exceptions, must become naturalized citizens in order to legally vote. And that is a difficult process. There's still people that are doing it legitly. My buddy Sergio from Sinaloa, he became a naturalized citizen, and it was very difficult for him. And I love that guy. One of my college baseball buddies. We also looked at the initial registration dates to see how many people registered in each year, again, divided into U.S. citizens and those born outside of the U.S. The Department of Homeland Security collects and publishes data on the number of people who became naturalized citizens each year. It gives numbers in each state, so there's no guesswork involved. Since only citizens are supposed to be allowed to register to vote, the number of naturalizations each year sets a reasonable limit on the number of foreign-born individuals who can legally register. We compiled all of this information going back to 1995. The results are shown in the graph below. Okay, sorry. Here, I gotta mute. I gotta clear my throat. Sorry, guys. My apologies. Let me get right back to it. All right, so this graph, we got the blue line is people that were born inside the U.S. The red line is people that were born outside of the U.S. And the green line is naturalized citizens, okay? From 1990 all the way up to today. Okay, so one of the first things we see is that there is a large jump in registration in recent years. Okay, I'm sorry. So these are people that registered. So, okay. So people outside that were born outside of the U.S. is the red line. So these three lines indicate people that registered to vote. The three different colors indicate whether they are born in the U.S., the blue line, born outside of the U.S. is the red line, and then naturalized citizens is the green line, which is basically flatlined. The interesting thing is the spike in voter registrations right around 2018. Both U.S. born and non-U.S. born. There's a major spike, huge spike, right around 2018 of new registered voters. Make of that what you will. Okay, so that's what he says. One of the first things that you see is there's a large jump in registration in recent years. That includes both people born in the country as well as those foreign born. The dashed line shows a number of naturalized citizens in California for each year up until 2016, the number of outside the U.S. registration falls below the number of naturalizations, just as one should expect. Notice, though, that after 2016, and especially during the Biden-Harris regime years, a number of U.S.-born registrations skyrockets, far exceeding the number of naturalized citizens in those years. So this is all the U.S. This isn't just California. Where did all of the registrations come from? There are only a few possibilities. I think this is all of the U.S. It's not just California. Okay. Where did all the registrations come from? There are only a few possibilities. It could be that there has been a mass exodus of naturalized citizens from other states into California. Oh, this is just California. Huh. Interesting. Very, very interesting. There are only a few possibilities. It could be that there has been a mass exodus of naturalized citizens from other states into California. That's not the case. People are leaving California now. We're not getting a flood of people coming into California. Given that California has been losing population for all those years, this does not seem reasonable. Thank you. Could it be that these registrations are from U.S. citizens who had children while stationed overseas in military or diplomatic postings? Unless there was a huge unreported increase in fertility of military and diplomatic people about 20 to 30 years ago, this is also an unlikely explanation. What seems most likely is that these registrations are largely those who are not legally entitled to register to vote. This is some period when millions of illegal aliens have been invited and encouraged to cross the border to find housing and employment here. Right. So right around when California became a sanctuary state, we see this huge spike in voter registrations. How interesting. And also when the DMV first started automatically registering people to vote. Interesting, isn't it? Using the same methodology used to determine the number of excess deaths from COVID and the mRNA vaccines, we can calculate excess registrations. We do that by subtracting the number of naturalizations in a year from the number of registrations. There will be a small error from those who were born overseas to U.S. citizens, but that number is a tiny fraction. The result is an estimate of the number of non-citizens registered in each year. Okay, so non-registered people that are non-citizens that registered to vote, that aren't allowed to vote. Adding up these excess registrations, there are 3,797,202,000 of them in the current California voter rolls. 3 million. 3.7 million. According to the California Secretary of State, in the 60-day report of registration, there are 22,310,352 registered voters in the state. That suggests that 17% of the registered voters in California are illegally registered non-citizens. I'll read that again. That suggests that 17% of the registered voters in California are illegally registered non-citizens. Okay? Same way they determined excess deaths. Okay? Even if we could account for half the number as legal registrations, that still leaves a huge number of registrations that could change the outcome of almost any election. The voter rolls also contain information on party affiliation, as one might expect. Most of these excess registrations are for Democrats. How convenient. One question that arises is, how did they get into the rolls? How did they register? Again, information in the voter rolls tells us that a large number of these registrations come from the online registration system, while many of the remainder came through the motor vehicle licensing system. Both of these are supposed to check citizenship and reject non-citizen applications. In both, however, the applicant has to check a box indicating they are non-citizens. If they don't check the box, it is assumed they are citizens. It's even worse than I thought. I thought you had to check a box that says, I am a citizen. If you don't check the box, you're saying you're a citizen. So a box that could be easily overlooked and not checked. So it's even worse. You don't have to actively do something to say that I'm a U.S. citizen. You don't have to actively do that. They're going to assume you're a U.S. citizen unless you check the box stating otherwise. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, boy. I'm getting so triggered right now. Many non-citizens are reluctant to admit they are citizens. They aren't citizens. Many non-citizens are reluctant to admit they aren't citizens. Okay, right. So, hey, check this box if you're here illegally. Oh my God, it's so much worse than I thought. Oh my God. Many non-citizens are reluctant to admit they aren't citizens because that could identify them for future removal or other action. Easier just to leave the box unchecked. Right. So they have no incentive to check the box, and it's just easy enough to just overlook the box altogether. Both the online registration system at the DMV will pass these through the voter registration system as probable citizens. Checks with Social Security and with other government sources of citizenship status often fail because these agencies lack essential information. Okay. Oh my God. What about the argument that non-citizens wouldn't register because that would disqualify them from ever becoming citizens? It turns out that many, if not most, of these individuals don't know they are registered to vote because they automatically register them. So you go to get a driver's license, which you can get as an illegal immigrant in California, and there's a box on there that checks, says that, I'm an illegal immigrant. And they're like, well, I'm not fucking filling that one out. I'm just getting my driver's license. So they get the driver's license. They don't know that the DMV automatically registers them. Boom, you got new Democrat voters. Even though a driver's license number, so all of a sudden those people that didn't know they were registered, they get a ballot in the mail and they're like, well, fucking hell. Might as well fill this puppy out. Kamala Harris. Unbelievable. Even though a driver's license number or the last four digits of a Social Security number are requested, the application can be completed without them. In that case, some sort of ID will be required with an initial vote. That ID can be as simple as a utility bill. Okay, you guys? So when you hear people say like they have to show ID when they register to vote. No, they don't. No, they don't. All they have to do is not check a box and show a PG&E bill, which you do not need to be a citizen to have. A club membership, a gym membership, or other non-picture ID, photocopied and included with the mail-in ballot. Oh, this just keeps getting better. A few simple keystrokes and a new voter is created, whether they want to be or not. Although we know they are in great numbers, there are actually few ways to identify the specific individuals. We can compile lists of probable non-citizens, but actually naming names requires people knocking on the doors and asking each individual. Many of them won't be found at the address listed. Many others won't be found at all. This process is slow, tedious, and often blocked by groups supporting immigration, by those claiming voters are being intimidated by racist canvassers, and others claiming that it is just an effort to suppress votes. Actually, that last one is true, since the effort is to attempt to suppress illegal votes by non-citizens. Right. Where does this leave us? We know that a huge number of non-citizens are in the active voter rolls. We also know that it will be impossible to remove them and any ballots they cast in the few days remaining in this election. We also know that the numbers are sufficient to change the outcome of almost any race or proposition, including the presidential race. Our elections are so rigged, you guys. About all that is left us, he worded that poorly. About all that is left us at this point, left to us, he left out a word there, is to not certify the election results due to the uncertainty around legal versus illegal votes. About all that is left to us at this point is to not certify the election results due to the uncertainty around legal versus illegal ballots. Yeah. Anyone want to bet how likely that would be? Does this information raise questions about the validity of our election results? Will various authorities claim these results are misinformation, disinformation, and attempts to raise doubts about the integrity of our elections? Is citizenship just a state of mind, or anyone who thinks that they are entitled to vote can vote? Is everyone who raises questions an insurrectionist? Is this America? Unbelievable. The California electorate should not be certified. California can do whatever they want with their local races, state senate, assembly, all the local propositions, all that shit. The federal government can't do anything about that, but the federal election, the presidential election, our votes should not be certified, just based purely on this information. How many illegal immigrants are clearly registered to vote and receive ballots? 17 million? Is that what it said? $3 million. Sorry. Adding up the excess registrations, there are 3 million of them in the current California voter rolls, according to the California Secretary of State in the 60-day report of registration. There are at least 22 million registered voters in the state. Okay. So 3.7 million of the 22.3 million voters are excess registrations. So how many of those are illegal? So there are 22,352,000 registered voters in the state. That suggests that 17% of the registered voters in California are illegally registered non-citizens. That's insane. Are you guys with me on this? This is freaking bananas. Northside, nice to see you, man. Northside over on Rumble. Democrats did this shit. Then you ask why you think there is voter fraud. Yeah, no shit. This is insane to me. This is freaking insane. Oh, I'm gonna have to clip this whole article. How are other people not talking about this? Is it just because there's too many words in the article? Oh my God, this is freaking insane. Okay. All right. So 17% of registered voters in California are likely illegal immigrants that aren't legally allowed to vote. 17%. So what's funny is I've been saying that I think California can overcome up to a 20% swing, because you can only cheat so much, right? Like if 100% of Californians voted for Trump, there's no way to all of a sudden, overturn or get rid of half of the votes, more than half of the votes. There's no way to do that. You can only cheat up to a certain percentage, right? You guys, I'm probably not explaining that well, but I've been saying that I think 70% of Californians could vote for Trump and they could still overcome that swing, 10 to 20%. So 60 to 70% of Californians could vote for Trump, and the Democrats still have enough fraudulent ballots in the bag to overcome that percentage. Turns out it's 17%. So that's close. That's what it looks like. 17%. Absolutely insane. This is mind-boggling to me. Freaking mind-boggling. Okay, let's go over to Fox News. This is talking about how Officer Harris won't say whether she voted for Prop 36. Prop 36 that would repeal a lot of the horrible aspects of Prop 47, which essentially decriminalized theft under $950. Before, anything over $450 was a felony, was grand larceny. If you stole over $450 worth of merchandise from any store, now anything under $950 is misdemeanor. And district attorneys aren't going to prosecute misdemeanors, which means officers aren't going to arrest people for misdemeanors. Essentially decriminalizing theft below $950. Other things that Prop 47 did was essentially legalize open air drug use of all types of drugs. It also made drug possession legal, not legal, a misdemeanor as well. So somebody gets busted with freaking a bunch of fentanyl or whatever, crack, whatever, misdemeanor, no big deal. So, all right, let's watch this clip from Fox News.
And it's an all-out sprint to the finish. The latest polling showing a dead heat, with both candidates leaving nothing to chance as we approach the final hours before Election Day. Fox's Jonathan Siri has more.
In the final weekend of the campaign, both Trump and Harris packing busy schedules. Harris kicked off her day in Atlanta.
Georgia, we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump. It is time
Did she do the accent thing again?
for a new generation of leadership in America.
This, as Democratic insiders tell New York Magazine, they are, quote, nauseously optimistic about her chances. Trump, meanwhile, took a detour to Virginia, a state Republicans have not won in decades. His campaign says he's going on offense, trying to expand the map.
I'll tell you what, we win Virginia, we win the whole thing without question.
Both candidates converged on North Carolina Saturday. Democrats have not carried the state since Obama in 2008, but believe they can pry it away this time around.
We need everyone to vote North Carolina. You all will make the difference in this election.
The former president, though, staying confident he'll come out on top.
Just saying it's very close. It's really not.
This video has nothing to do with what they're talking about here. Vice President Kamala Harris on Sunday declined to say if she voted on the key ballot measure in her home state of California that would reverse criminal justice reforms approved in recent years, Prop 47. She helped author Prop 47, and she said that she would have to look into it more. She doesn't know how she's going to vote on it. Freaking. Here's her quote. I am not going to talk about the vote on that because honestly, it's the Sunday before the election, and I don't intend to create an endorsement one way or the other, said Harris, a former San Francisco district attorney, California attorney general, and U.S. senator before she was elected vice president in 2020, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, she doesn't know if she wants to repeal the proposition that she authored, even though she probably didn't write any of it. It was somebody else, but okay, let's keep going. Okay, did you guys know that back when I was in high school, Kamala Harris introduced legislation. I don't know if it was legislation. She might have just unilaterally did it herself. But when she was Attorney General of California, she put parents in jail for their kids cutting school. Here's her talking about it. My dad was terrified about this because I used to cut school all the time. So I thought I didn't realize that she had actually put people in jail for it, but she did. So watch this really quick.
What you're about to watch is a video that Elon Musk shared on his timeline on X. Now, I feel like this is one of those videos that America needs to see before they go to the voting polls. And I quote from Elon, just listen to what she says and how she says it.
Dear Kamala Harris, let's get one thing crystal clear. The vast majority of American men have no issue with electing a female president. Our issue lies solely with you. You were second in charge of California for 13 years.
As California's Attorney General, Harris promoted enforcement of a law that allowed prosecutors to seek jail time for parents of truant kids.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, how can you lock parents up?
If you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail.
This woman's a psychopath. Look how giddy she is about that. She's talking about destroying lives, destroying families because the kid cut school. And she's giddy about it.
Yes, we achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops that wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, you know the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer.
How is she bragging about this? This woman is an authoritarian psychopath.
They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicide.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money.
See what her concern is? Trying to save the state money. Kamala Harris is evil. She's an evil woman, just like plenty of other California and non-California Democrats. She's evil like Nancy Pelosi, Rob Bonta, Scott Wiener, Gavin Newsom, Maxine Waters. This woman is a psychopath. So frustrating. All right, so let's go over this quick article. Let's see, is there a video that we can watch? I don't have to read it. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is from ABC 7 News. So Oakland Police Department's inaccurate crime reporting leads to questions about what's going on in the city. Huh. Inaccurate crime reporting. Interesting. Gavin always says crime is down in Oakland. And reality doesn't seem to reflect that. And turns out, neither do the numbers.
In Oakland went up in 2023. Even more alarming, though, is that most of them remain unsolved.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful. Okay. It always does this from freaking news outlets. That's a 6-minute video. I want to play it anyway. So let's read the first few paragraphs from this. Oh, great. Now it's freaking out.
The rate of crimes in Oakland went up in 2023.
Okay. In 2023, Oakland PD reported the California Department of Justice that only 3% of their violent crimes resulted in an arrest in 2023. When it came to property crimes, this number was 0.1%. Their clearance rate was abysmal. Now it's practically nothing. There are not just solving crimes. Mike Males of the Center of Juvenile and Criminal Justice says. No, my dog's freaking out a little bit. I'm gonna have to let her outside. I think we're good. Hopefully she doesn't poop on my floor. All right, so while Oakland's... Whoa. You okay, Chiva? My dog just fell on the ground. You okay? My dog is really old, you guys. Jeez. All right, I got to help my dog up. Stand by, guys. Sorry. You okay? Go outside. Okay, come on. We'll go outside. All right, folks. Sorry about that. I might have to call it night anyway. We're right at about 2 hours, so I'll just scan through the headlines of what I was going to talk about. But Oakland crime isn't down, basically. It's just another clip about how a woman was brutally beaten outside of a pizza parlor in Oakland, and then I have another clip that I was going to show you guys, which is probably good I'm not showing you. A guy was murdered in cold blood in broad daylight in San Francisco, shot in the head. There's footage of him lying on the ground, shot in the head, bleeding everywhere. Cops aren't even there yet. This is the type of thing that's happening in San Francisco now. So San Francisco is paying people money to stay sober. Eligible San Francisco residents can now get cash to stay sober. Yes, you heard that correctly. That is something they're really doing. They want... There's talk about taking the fluoride out of the water. And just because RFK is suggesting that we do that, now you have a bunch of leftists screaming that we need to keep the fluoride in our water. So that's happening. It's freaking insane to me. California job openings fall by 30% as unemployment rates is second worst in California. So unemployment is going up and the job openings is going down. So it's a double whammy. Usually, I won't make of that what you will. That's from the New York Post. California job openings fall by 30% as unemployment rate is second worst in the country. Okay. This article I wanted to read from the California Globe, How to Kill a State in 5 Easy Steps. Yeah, it's not that long of an article, but I just don't have time to read it. Maybe I'll read it tomorrow during the live stream. And Rob Bonta and Gavin Newsom have decided to sue, what city is it? Norwalk for homeless shelter ban. So Norwalk City Council's failure to reverse this ban. Okay, this is just a video from Rob Bonta, but yeah, I'll read this article tomorrow. But just like California government always does when you get a city or a county that goes against what they want to do, like Huntington Beach, Orange County, Shasta County with their county hand counting ballots, other counties that might want to acquire ID, they sue the county. The state government sues local counties. It's a totalitarian government here in California. Gavin Newsom always says we're the 5th largest economy in the world. If you think of California as a country, this is a totalitarian state here. It's truly Orwellian, the things that are taking place in California today. So yeah, that's I think that's all I got time to talk about tonight. You guys are going to cut it at 2 hours, right about a little over 2 hours, 10 minutes. So I think I got to cut it there. Check in with the chat really quick before we get out of here. Casey Martin, nice to see you. Coming in at the end, though, I covered a lot of stuff tonight, so hopefully you get a chance to go back and watch. Election Day Eve, I know. Let's effing go, Trump Vance. Go vote if you haven't already. You got it. You're all over it. Casey Martin, if Kamala gets crushed tomorrow, hopefully that puts the kibosh on the future national electoral chances of these other insane California policies. I hope you're right. Pete Grabber, nice to see you over on X. All right. Sorry, guys. I want to go longer, but my dog's having some issues. My senior dog, not Scarlet, my senior dog, Chiva. She's a 16-year-old German Shepherd. She doesn't have a lot of time left. So, yeah, that is all I got for the evening. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you want to support the show, there's 2 links in the comments below over on X for how you can do that. Subscribe, like, share. Please hit that like button. Whatever platform you're watching on, hit the like button over on X, retweet on X, hit the like button on YouTube. Same thing with Rumble. If you're not subscribed to me over on Rumble and over on YouTube, please do so. Yeah, I think that's about it. If there's anything you guys want me to cover in any upcoming streams, send me a DM on Twitter. If questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, all that stuff. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Before we get out of here, you know how we do it. And I haven't gotten to tell one in a while. So we got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. What do we have tonight on this election eve? It's my favorite Chuck Norris joke. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again. And I don't even need the book for this one. All right. Joke of the evening before we get out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you again for watching. Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Chuck Norris's dick is so big that it has its own dick. Chuck Norris's dick's dick is bigger than your dick. Stay CaliBased.